Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we are hearing from His Holiness Rompasan Maharaj, Canto 2, Chapter 2, Shloka number 6. Are you able to see my screen and able to hear me?
Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Yes.
So today's very short lecture, around 15-16 minutes. So I'll be repeating the last question and the answer, specifically the answer of the last question, and then we will continue that. So before that, let's quickly go through the shloka 2.2.6. Very wonderful shloka. The previous background that Sukadeva Goswami is saying that the intelligent person will work in this material world to just keep his body and the soul together, and then being fixed on this material thing, Krishna consciousness, one must render service unto the super soul. There is a translation for this shloka. Super soul situated in one's own heart by his omnipotency, because he is the almighty personality of Godhead, eternal and unlimited. He is the ultimate goal of life, and by worshipping him, one can aim the cause of the conditioned state of existence. So that is the ultimate message of Srimad Bhagavatam, especially the chapter 2, which talks about the Lord in the heart. So we'll continue hearing the. Please let me know if you can hear.
And knowing I'm not applying.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay.
I'm fully. That's just realism. And while doing so, there's this internal humility. That at the same time there's an internal striving with enthusiasm, striving, but checked by humility, curbed by, so I don't become proud. Look at how I'm applying. I'm not, what am I doing? Just some portion. And feeling sheltered by the process. I know that I trust the process will carry me to the goal. Yeah. Within one's capacity. Let's take chanting. We know what the quality of our chanting isn't. So apply the same, what you just spoke, to the activity of chanting. Is it okay to chant, to our capacity, knowing it's not fully attentive, not immersed in the holy name? And then take that same principle and apply it to the other things of life. Bhaktivinoda Thakur teaches, without enthusiasm, we can't progress. So there has to be some enthusiasm. Let me go beyond my limitation, my current limitation. But then, I need Krishna's mercy in order to go beyond my limitation. I need some strength that's beyond my strength. That's bhakti. One's feeling oneself dependent. That it's chastened by humility. But enthusiasm must be there. So, all I'm saying here is, while following the model that you just described, of carefully guarding one's complacency. Oh, I'm okay. Mara says, okay, just do what you can do. I'm okay. Keep striving. Internally, there has to be an aspiration to reach the goal, which I'm watching right now. enthusiasm comes right at the beginning. Once the goal is defined, enthusiasm. Yeah. Tempered by patience and sustained by conviction. Something else? Yes?
Morning class, I was saying, by sincerely serving the two devotees, one can get the devotion to God. And that God comes in the ways, devotees, like material relations. How? So-called...
Yeah, other shelters.
Yes. How to avoid, like, main thing is the material parallel relations. Like, God is saying a lot of... it comes a lot in the way of serving.
There's conceptual considerations. Ultimately, there are spiritual considerations. The spiritual considerations carry one beyond illusion. So that is to say, like Maharaj Parikshit, he was, and we'll say ourselves, like Maharaj Parikshit, he was an exceptionally elevated soul. And even as an exceptionally elevated soul, he was very involved as a king in worldly affairs. That's difficult territory there alone. Exceptionally elevated soul, very involved in material affairs. Like you know from your study of the first canto, when he heard of the personality of Kali doing his nefarious business, he at once left his kingdom and went, excited, out of the challenge. But as he was traveling place to place, each place he went, he was simply engaged in hearing the glories of Pandavas, glories of Krishna's confidential dealings with Pandavas, fixed in Krishna consciousness as he's going about executing his duty. So what to speak of, when he came to know that he was cursed to die, there's the giving up of all of that, which he readily gave up. But even beyond that, then meeting Shukadeva Goswami, and when meeting Shukadeva Goswami, any residual trace of any kind of other shelter was gone. So, we're not Maharaj Parikshit. We don't have the spiritual elevation that Maharaj Parikshit has. We don't have all the elaborate enticements of material happiness that Maharaj Parikshit had accessible to him either. So, commensurate with our position, we have some, and we're attached to them because of lack of spiritual advancement. So the best thing to do is to look for spiritual advancement. And the best thing to look for spiritual advancement is, as you pointed out, through service to those great souls. Mahat Pada Rajo Abhishekam. And that will enhance our spiritual advancement. Still, as we're like Maharaj Parikshit, as we are little by little spiritually progressing, this other shelter holds, because it's part of conditional life. And so, depending upon one's position of spiritual elevation, one can do different things. But at least now comes the conceptual part. Know that this is not who we really are. We're not the son of so-and-so, mother and father, and the brother of so-and-so siblings, and then later in time married to so-and-so and so-and-so children. And that's the material package that keeps one bound in illusion. It's not who we really are. That's conceptual. And pursuing that affinity, that false shelter, binds one further to material existence. It's not a immature position is to just become cold and, aloof. And it's immature. So one tendency may be to feel that pull and go with the pull of material shelter, and others to, in a cold way, cut the material shelter. Disregard it. A more mature position is to recognize it's not a real identity, it's not a real shelter for us. But let me respect all religions teach. We're just sharing this with another devotee. All religions teach. Honor thy mother and father. And for what do we honor them? We honor them for the gift of life, for the sacrifices they made when we were fully dependent. We're very grateful. We honor them. Now, then another consideration comes: how much shelter in Krishna can they offer us? In many cases, negligible. So we honor them for the material portion of the gifts that they have offered, and also for the values of life that they've inculcated. It's now helping us presently. We honor them for those things. But that's not our ultimate shelter. So that takes a little spiritual strength and proper discrimination, both. While honoring and respecting, that's not my shelter. I should and I do respect and honor my parents. On the other hand, they're not my parents. In the ultimate sense. They're not the parents of this soul. And that's who I am. Similarly, the teachers that I may have had in the course of my education. Probably for every one of us, there's one or two outstanding teachers that we really felt we got a lot from. And then so many other persons that did so many other things. And so many other indebtednesses that we have. The Bhagavatam describes this from one of the first lectures I heard, the second lecture I heard from speak, was about as soon as we take birth, we have debts. Well, don't take birth. It's not good to be in debt, so don't take birth. But as soon as you take birth, we have debts. The forefathers, the demigods, great sages, that to have knowledge in the course of life, to have the necessities of life supplied by the demigods. The forefathers were propagation of the family line. We have so many debts. Those debts are at once dissolved by rendering service unto the personality of God. So that's where a big part of the attachment to parents finds its resolution, is the faith that by serving Krishna, and that serving Krishna doesn't mean I neglect my parents. Serving Krishna means serving Krishna, part of which is respecting my parents in the mode of service to Krishna. Then the best benefit, the fullest repayment of that indebtedness that I am feeling and I owe them, is at once taken care of. That's a transcendental faith that comes from spiritual advancement and proper discrimination. Having the right concepts about things. But we're not trained in proper concepts, so we have to carefully consider how to see what's what of this world. If we were a little more elevated or broad-minded, we could have an equal degree of concern for the demigods. Because without the demigods, what can our parents give us? Anything. It's just not available. We're dependent upon them, so we feel indebted to them. But generally the way that it works is not a sense of indebtedness to the demigods, rather it's a ritual that in my family when growing up we used to go to the nearby something temple. And so my mother and father kept on our altar something. So I always learned that on Thursdays I would da-da-da-da. So it's hard for me to. It's ritualistic, it's not conceptual. Principles, we should be indebted to all the demigods. And we are, because they're supplying everything. They're supplying everything that our parents are supplying, but where the demigods getting their supply from? But it goes to the absolute truth, to Sat, not the Asat. When King Chitraketu was too much attached to the bodily conception of life, Angira Muni didn't right away give him transcendental knowledge what to speak of bhakti. He made a facility that he could have and then lose his material thing. Then he was ready for transcendental knowledge. And then he received, after transcendental knowledge, then he received the message of bhakti from Narada. So a lot depends on the person's trajectory on their spiritual path. But we want to amplify spiritual connection, help the person make the proper discriminations, conceptual understandings of what that debt is, what that feeling of indebtedness is. Largely it's a bodily conception feeling. And an appropriate respect and gratitude and honor, bearing in mind that it's on the material platform. And one can elevate it to the spiritual platform, where it gives benefit not only to oneself, but even to one's parents. It gets fixed on the spiritual platform. And fixed on the spiritual platform, there's a method, an approach to expressing in Krishna consciousness, giving outlet to those feelings of affection and attachment for one's parents. And that's for people who want to go there. Some people don't want to go there. Anything else?
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, any realization, any points that you liked? Before that, I would like to thank Chennakesha Prabhu for coordinating yesterday's in my absence. So thank you so much, Prabhu. Anybody would like to share from the question answer that we heard from His Holiness Rumpasad Maharaj? Dear Lalit Prabhu, are we recording, Prabhu? Dear Lalit Prabhu, you raised your hand. Chennakesha Prabhu, yes, please.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, let Dilal the Prabhu continue, Prabhu.
Yeah, dear Lalit
Oh.
Prabhu, go ahead.
Yes, I'm audible, Prabhu.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, recording. I nowadays we start at 6:30 only, Prabhu, and
Okay.
share the live in how we have in Ramayana class. So in the group, I share the link. Okay. So Prabhu, the one point just Maharaj slightly referred to about this episode of Angira, Muni, Chitraketu, etc. So if we refer to the text of Srimad Bhagavatam, so when the Chitraketu, this king, King Chitraketu, right, Prabhu?
Chitraketu, yes, King Chitraketu.
Yes. Afterwards, he became the demon. So the Chitraketu, when he was Morose, he was looking for a child, and he was not having a child. So Angira Muni came, and he said that, okay, fine, you want the child, you will get the child, take this payasam. This child will give you happiness and distress both. He told this, and without waiting for his response, he left. So, and then, the way Maharaj told that, that Angira Muni, he facilitated this situation, that he will experience, and then he will understand what he is going through, and then he's ready for to receive this spiritual knowledge. And then afterwards, actually, Angira Muni and Narad Muni came, and then they delivered him the knowledge, and he got benefited. So we see that in my life, I have seen, and other devotees also might have experienced, that when we come across some mature devotees, they won't say everything at the very first place. They will create some circumstance like this. They will create some services like this, or they will come and give their association in so many different ways, that the practicing devotee, he is actually becomes ready to receive that particular things, and not at a very first instance they will everything they will pour. So that is something, the maturity which we see in the case of, or in the episode of Angira Muni. And I think that's as a if someone is little interested in prachar, so I think this is very important element he can consider. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. So it's a very good practical application that you brought, and especially Maharaj also mentioned that he was not ready first, and the conception that he had. So then once those conceptions material conceptions were removed, and then he was ready for the transcendental knowledge, then, and of course the situation also made in such a way that all the shelters were taken away. What he was thinking that he would get the happiness, but the same cause became the cause. I mean, the same object or thing became the cause of his distress. And that is what Bhagavad Gita says, the Bhagavad Gita 5.22. यही संस्पर्श जब होगा दुख योन एवते. So what was the cause of our happiness? The same thing become the cause of our distress. And that is the reality of the happiness that is derived from the sense and the sense object coming together. So thank you, Prabhu. Anybody else? Yes, Chandra.
Hare Krishna, Guru. Yeah, today's this portion of lecture is explaining or expressing that Maharaj and the how to detach from the material things, and we should have enthusiasm in the bhakti to progress in spiritual advancement. And there is one question one devotee was asking, how to consider material things while we serving in the spiritual world. So for that, Maharaj was saying that there is a lack of spiritual advancement, like Maharshi Kirti did the same little by little. In this same way, we need to practice something like that, Prabhu. Can you elaborate on this particular point, Prabhu?
Okay. It was Maharaj Parikshit. Maharaj was talking about Maharaj Parikshit. So anybody would like to answer Prabhu's question? Hare Krishna. So Maharaj was talking about material things, and while even the Parikshit Maharaj, he was very great elevated soul. Still, he was engaged in the material activity. So that was the context that Maharaj was answering. Anybody would like to say something on the question that Prabhu? Vilay Prabhu, you want to say something?
No, Prabhu.
Okay, because your microphone was unmuted. Okay. Anybody?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Can you hear me?
Yes, Guru Prabhu. Chapandi.
Yeah, majorly Maharaj was highlighting that even when Parikshit Maharaj during when Kali was entering, so he was traveling all over to face that Kali. So that time, even though he was doing his duty, but still wherever he goes, he was hearing the praising of the Pandavas and all the dealings the greatness of Krishna and his forefathers, all those things. Even while doing his duty also, so he was engaged in uh,
Bodily affairs.
bodily affairs. So in one sense, we cannot judge just uh, by doing this material. What is that? Like how we deal internally, how with our material things. So that is where so he was doing his duty at the same time. He was detached completely. Like when he got to know that he was going to die, he did not had any attachment. He left everything in a single shot, and he was prepared to leave his body, and then got the association of Sukadeva Goswami. So that's how we should not stick for we should not keep any attachment and stuck with this material dealings whatever we are dealing. So that's where even Maharaj was mentioning that uh, ultimate means the shelter. We should identify what is our ultimate shelter. So we should not deviate in that ultimate shelter while dealing with our material dealings. So same thing example he had given, Maharaj had given us. Another example is it can be as a parent. So we should have this proper discrimination with the spiritual advancement, and so that we can deal the things in the right way. So that's what my understanding, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Chandakesha Prabhu, does that help you, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Guru. Thank you.
Yeah, so one of the important point Maharaj was highlighting from there is the spiritual conception. And so that because the spiritual conception will take us beyond the illusion. And today, Maya will actually cover up in two different ways. The first is that what is our identity? So we take this material body is our identity. That is what we are. We consider our body as ourself. And the second coverings of the Maya is that what is related to that body is mine. And that is the material conception. And His Holiness Rampa Swami Maharaj was mentioning that we have to come to the spiritual conception. And that spiritual conception is what actually take us beyond the illusion. And even though he was engaged and he was not an ordinary personality, he was doing his duty as a king and very elevated personality. But meanwhile, he was also continuing hearing the glories of the Pandavas. But he had that spiritual conception. And whatever the residual were left, that actually removed when he came in contact with great personality Sukadeva Goswami, and that is what Maharaj was mentioning. And the other point which Guru Prabhu also brought, that the relationship in this material world is what is not that we have to disrespect the parents, and that was very important point Maharaj was highlighting. I see Vinodini Mataji raised her hand. Yes, Mataji, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, it's Misha.
Yes, Prabhuji, please.
I didn't mean to interrupt. I just had a question which I would like to hear from everybody. But maybe after you're done, you would like to continue and then I can ask the question to everybody.
Okay, Prabhu. So yeah, Yeah, I think I was talking about the parents, and Maharaj was also mentioning about the demigod worship. So the demigod worship in one way is not wrong, but what happens today is more on a ritual. If we are in the mood of indebtedness and looking for the higher spiritual guidance, that's nothing wrong. However, but today, and that is where Srila Prabhupada has, in a general way said that not to do that, because in general people are looking for only ritual and some material benefit out of that. So respecting the parents and the demigod, but not in out of context. So disrespecting them out of context. So that's one point that we can take. Yes, Prabhu, please go ahead.
My question was related to the last thing that you said, Prabhu.
Mm.
Maharaj was mentioning that many times what children get to know is the rituals that the parents do, and they continue to do the same rituals which the parents do. And they, so my question to each and every one of you, I just want to hear from everybody, or as many of you as possible, that when each of you is faced with, like, say, a festival or a ritual that is being done in your family, what do you do? Option A or option one: don't do it. Do only whatever Srila Prabhupada has given as part of ISKCON. That's one. Number two, uh, as long as it does not break core devotional principles, like, for example, not eating meat or not killing animals, because there are certain rituals which involve killing animals, etc. So as long as it doesn't involve, and in some rituals for some families, there is also liquor involved in it. So as long as it doesn't break the core principles, do it, but try to satisfy Krishna, pray to Krishna, and pray that may this devata be happy by my praying to Krishna. That is one. And this is done primarily. And for those who are doing this, my question to you is: why do you do? If you were to do this, why were to do that? Is it because you want to satisfy parents? Is it because you want to connect to something, a part of your childhood? Or is it that you believe that there is an identity of yourself associated with it, and so you do? So either you don't do, or you do, praying to Krishna, but it's to satisfy the parents alone. It is to connect a part of your history as a child, as a young adult, however you call it. Or you still feel, I want my unique identity in this, or it could be something else. So I want to hear from everybody. That's it. And that's it.
Thank you, Professor. Prabhu had raised question for all of us to think, ponder upon that, and the option that he had given 1 and 2. The option 1 is that we don't celebrate the rituals just the way Srila Prabhupada wanted, celebrate that way. Second is that celebrate the rituals in a ritual way, but keeping the overall boundary, not crossing the things like eating meat and all those stuff. So yeah, Chennakesha Prabhu, please you raised your hand.
Prabhu, recently I faced this situation. During my father's death, there is a rituals which we perform at home. So our parents used to, my parents, matlab, my father's younger brother and other relatives, we have to cook non-veg and we have to offer.
Oh,
Then yeah, because he likes these items, so we have to cook when there is a third day or fifth day something. Then I was not interested to do that, but still, as you said, the ritual which we need to follow as part of the family. Then what I did, I just asked them to, when there is a offering happening, whatever the vegetarian food which we cooked, that I offered. Then I come out of from that pot. Then I ask my brother or my relatives to offer the whatever the non-veg they cooked. That's what I did, Prabhu.
Prabhu, I mean, you say what you did. But I'm trying to also understand. Thank you for very openly telling it. It takes courage to say things like this. But I'm eager to know the why you did it. Is it to satisfy all your relatives? That's the first part. You did it to satisfy your relatives. I mean, even the ritual you did within the boundaries. Say you cooked something, etc. Is it just to satisfy relatives, or the connecting to a part of your childhood, or it's your identity, or anything else? That's I wanted to know that part. Or
Yeah,
it's just you didn't give much
just
thought to it. Just do something and get out of it.
yeah. It just to satisfy the relatives, bro.
Okay. Okay. I mean, this death is a very what you call. It doesn't come so often. Let me even set aside that. My question is more to things which will occur on a periodic basis, on an annual basis. You will have annually some festivals, things like that, or monthly you will have something like that.
Okay. In that case, I am not following anything, Prabhu. As we've
Okay.
taking the temple festivals, those things only I'm just following, Prabhu.
And you're happy with it. Okay. I mean,
Yeah.
okay. My question rather is, I'm not even asking what you follow because that's your own private thing in a
Okay.
public group. My question is, what would you like to do? I'm more at the intention level. So you would like to do only what Srila Prabhupada is given. That's what you're trying to say.
Correct, Prabhu. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody would like to? I mean,
Hare Krishna Prabhu Ji, Dandavat Pranam.
yes, Mataji, Shweta Mataji. Boliye Mataji.
So for the question what Shamkan Prabhu asked, so I think there can be different aspects of it, and one aspect is how much or how many people in the family are following. Like if entire family is following and even your relatives are also following, then not doing those rituals or something becomes very easy. But then it is not that easy if it is not so. So if I talk about myself, we do the Ganpati Puja and we do Diwali and all. And though, I mean, I don't do exactly in a very grand way or something, but little puja and something. And that is because all my relatives and to whom my kids interact and all, they do it. They ask whether you did it or no. So basically, I don't want them to be in a very awkward situation that everyone around them are doing something and they don't even know what they are talking about. So it is just to give them an information that this is being done around you. Everyone around you does it, but then it doesn't serve any purpose also up to a great extent. Yeah, it gives little happiness, the festival is there, some celebrations are there, and all those things are definitely there, but it doesn't go beyond that. So I do it in that way.
Thank you, Mataji, for telling it.
I had two more points, but I think let people answer the question of Shamkun Prabhu.
Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Yes, Mataji. Shambhavi Mataji, please.
Yeah, Prabhu, I follow things in two ways, Prabhu. Like one is to satisfy elders in the family, and the other thing is to not forgetting the culture what we have raised from when we were childhood, and to tell. And every festival has its own background, why we cook some things and why we offer some things. Thankful to the God that I am not from non-vegetarian family, so I'm okay with whatever they cook. Everything is vegetarian. So there is a reason behind what we cook on every festival, according to the climate conditions and the food stuff. So I follow those things so that there is a reason behind it. Uh, I will like to give my children also the things so follow. they not leave the culture. I hope and I also follow ISKCON festivals and fastings and everything to be connected with Guru Maharaj and Guru Parampara. Yeah, yes.
So, Hare Krishna Prabhu, from my side, like actually earlier, as told, it's from like childhood or say our family tradition. We are doing now. The conception is like day by day it's changing. I cannot say that we are fully stopped, but we are doing. But the importance to give that is changing gradually. Even I understood myself for the last 3-4 years. At least we are doing okay. Children has to know what we were doing earlier. So like Mataji told the Ganapati Puja. Earlier we used to celebrate in a different way. Now we simply one day okay we just put it that even we asking the kid only to make that ideal with mud and all, and we are putting and we are doing this and all, and finally we are giving to whatever the mandap there. So like that, with those things are gradually changing. So that's what I could say from. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashok Prabhu, Shamwal Mataji. If anybody else would like to add, otherwise we could hear from Shankun Prabhu if you want to add some points here.
I have nothing to add. I'd like to hear from you your thought, Prabhu. Yours, and maybe I'd like to hear Sharbari Mataji.
Okay,
and maybe we also have Rajeshwari Pran Mataji. Yeah, three of them.
Yeah, let us see if Sharbari Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Actually, I don't come from a family where there are many rituals. So it was never the case, neither in my parents' house nor in my in-laws' house, thankfully. So it has been, I can do the way I think it's fit. So that is how it has been for me, fortunately or unfortunately. So I don't have much to share here. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Yeah. Rajeshwari Pran Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I am not very attentive today in the class. I just joined sometime before. Maybe I can send over in the group Prabhu on this class.
Okay. Okay, Mataji. For me, Prabhu's question was that whether we do rituals, as many devotees mentioned that we are hardly any rituals left, and even if it is there, it is more on the rituals or the sense gratification. That is the only whole thing. But what we try to do, for example, if it is a Diwali festival, so there is a lot of cleaning happens initially. So we do that, and then so the main thing is that why these festivals are there and how to connect to Krishna. For example, in Deepavali day, so lot of people especially worship Lakshmi Puja. Then we hear lectures topics from our devotees here and understand that how we can connect these cultures or rituals what we have in connection with Krishna. That is more important, and that help us to understand the culture what we are actually doing in the past. And most important is that all our festivals, all our rituals, or for that matter, most of them, may not be everything, but most of the rituals are actually having some or the other connection to have some dependence on a Lord. For example, when I was a child, before we start the farming, we actually thanked demigod, especially the rain god. So, or pray for him that we are going to sow the seed now. Please help us. So it was very small ritual. Today we don't have even all those stuff. But the point was that all this connecting to the nature and the ultimate shelter is Krishna. So earlier probably there was a concept of connecting to the nature, but today that we know that even this demigod depend on Krishna. So the connecting to the devatas, and finally Maharaj was mentioning today that connecting to the Supreme Lord, because they all get their power from the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. And then yesterday we had another festival on last week about the Sankranti. So which is another festival of harvesting festival. So why we celebrate, why we do that? So connecting to the nature and nature, whose nature? Maharaj would ask the nature. Whose nature? It is Lord Sri Krishna. So connecting back to Krishna. So we, because of Srila Prabhupada, connecting to this glorious parampara, that we know that these rituals have, ultimately coming from Krishna. So when we do all those things, we personally try to connect to Lord Sri Krishna, and of course, following those things, I feel that it is important, because as Shyam Vallavi Mataji was saying, that we will become something odd in this material world, because if you are not celebrating Diwali, if you are not celebrating Sankranti, if you are not doing things, so doing those festivals, definitely there's aspect of not pleasing to parents or something, because they will also not emphasize, but celebrating those festivals, but connecting in a way to the Supreme Lord and the spiritual conception. So there are some thoughts from my side, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much. I got to learn something. It's 7:18. If you like, we can stop this, Prabhu, today. Today's call we can continue to.
Yeah, I think it's already so. Thank you very much, devotees. We will continue tomorrow, next lecture, which is spanned over the 7 shlokas, 6 to 12. We will hear. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.